Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Megan, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be on.
Let's jump straight into it. What's the story, Megan? What got you into consulting?
Well, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just don't know if I knew what I wanted to do way back when. But what really got me into this is way back when I first started in the professional world, I was an operations leader, and I fell in love with leading awesome teams and helping leaders do that. And so I kept chasing that for, 10, 12 years, and then realized that I could do more good from the outside than I even could from the inside. So I wanted to help everybody.
I like that. What's the problem that you help people solve now? Like, what is it that you're helping them achieve, basically?
I help leaders run higher performing teams. And so that it helps, there's a couple outcomes that helps people achieve, but essentially a big one is that I help leaders move from people who were the MVP and now they are in charge of actually leading people and running a team. And how do they make that jump? So I like to say, like, you were the MVP and like now you need to lead a team of MVPs. Like, how do you do it? And so that is, everything from their development of them specifically as a leader. How do they actually lead through others? And what does that look like? All the way through to like, how do you actually create like a strategic plan? How do you actually develop people to do an exceptional job? How do you lead beyond yourself? So there's lots kind of within that, but the crux of it is that I help leaders run high performing teams.
Is it always the right move to move people who are the MVPs to the head of the team? The reason I'm asking this is, so my world is marketing and sales, obviously. And the common mistake that companies make is that they take their best performing salesperson and they promote them to manager. And not only do they suck at being a sales manager, but they also not closing deals anymore. So losing on all ends. I understand that this is not just sales that you're doing, but like, is it the right move to begin with, to move your MVP to the head of the team?
Good question. And one I think that I feel like I deal with this on a weekly basis. I wouldn't say it's the wrong move, but it is the wrong move if you're not helping someone make the skill jump to being a leader. And so I think what is the wrong move is taking someone who's been the MVP and assuming that they're going to be an exceptional leader of that thing. What I've seen in practice, and I'm sure probably you've seen it, most people have probably seen, is that you take these people who are exceptional at what they do, and then you put them in charge of other people. And a lot of people don't instinctively know how to actually help other people do that thing exceptionally. So there is a bit of like a skill gap sometimes there. And how do I actually like develop people and lead people to also do that? But the other thing I see is that so much of people's value comes from the output they have. And I was exceptional at sales. I was an exceptional salesperson. And now I'm in this role where I'm not doing sales anymore, but I don't want to give that up because that's how I found value. So I'm going to keep trying to do that, but I'm not going to learn how to be a leader. And then without the support to help someone understand what it actually means to be a leader and then help them develop those skills, I find that it usually results in a bunch of bad leaders.
Okay, so how do you fix that?
Good question. So I think you still can absolutely promote MVPs. Here's what I think it takes is that number one, we've got to be very clear about what this job is of being a leader. It doesn't just mean that now you get like more money and like you have a job as like the leader. What it actually means is that you likely are going to be giving up some of those individual contributor things. And that now your role is to make sure that people below you are successful. So I do think that like up front, we can help people understand the reality of what this job is. So then people can self-select out if they go, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't actually want to do that. But then once we have people who are in it and we've promoted these awesome people, I think the way to do this is I know from research as well as from doing this for, 10 plus years is that setting really, really clear expectations with what that role now looks like, and then giving people the support and the development to actually meet what that is now, which is being the leader of the team and actually leading other people to be successful. We have to give people support to make that jump and recognize that it's not just an instinctive thing, that it actually is like a real new job. It's real new skills.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, the classic PwC and I guess the Big Four structure is, hey, you're a kick-ass senior consultant. Let me just promote you as a manager, give you some bunch of associates, although you have never managed anybody in your life, and you're gonna not only manage those people, but follow the PwC playbook, which is obviously lots of work and lots of pressure. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Who do you work with, Megan? Like, do you have a specific niche, industry, company department that you help with that specific problem? Like, who do you work with typically?
I would say that it is a certain type of person I work with. And so I like to say that it is, I work really, really well with people who were athletes or who have an athlete mindset. So you don't have to have been like a former competitive athlete, but the people that I work with and the kind of the niche that I work with is people who have that mindset of I'm here to accomplish something. I understand and want to lead like through a team, and I want to have a team be successful. I also think that part of that, like the mindset of these people, is that feedback is a thing that I can help me get better, not a scary thing. Even though some, obviously like, getting feedback can be a little scary, but that these people are actively saying, I want to get better and I know I can be better. I just find that like as a former athlete, like I oftentimes gel with those people, but also that like they oftentimes have the mindset of I'm here to achieve something and I want to achieve it through people, and the team both needs to be happy and successful. And how can I do that? So I find that that happens to be a lot of my niche, and that spans a lot of different industries.
Would you say that one of the biggest aspect of an athlete's mindset is that not only are they used to get a lot of reps without giving up because they are failing at something, but they would also be open to feedback and integrating it if it comes the right way? Is that why you're focusing on those people?
Yeah. And a big piece of it too. And like, I will tell you that a lot of my, I don't know, I guess I'll call it my vibe or my brand.
That works for me.
Yeah, my vibe is that, I mean, I'm not here to talk theory. I'm not here to have quick fixes. Like those things do not equal success. They don't equal high performance. And I think that people who were like people who are, of course, I guess I should have also mentioned like former athletes, athlete mindset, who are now people leaders. So these people who have been athletes have this mindset of like competitiveness, of performance, know that you don't go in the gym for 48 hours and come out with a six pack. And like just the same way that you don't go to a leadership conference for 2 days and come back a changed leader. It just doesn't happen that way. And so that's, I think, part of the reason why I gel so well with people like this, because they know like you have to put in the reps, you have to put in the work, and you have to like try and fail at things to know how to get better at them. Like you can't just instinctively be great at everything. Like people who become exceptional are people who have put in the work and have failed and have continued to see what doesn't work and lean into the things that do work.
Okay, so the question I cannot help but think about, Megan, is how do you market? How do you brand? How do you get people through the door when you have such a specific positioning? Like, hey, I help people's leaders within companies of whatever size who have been athletes in the past, or at least who have an athlete mindset. But then let me tell you what an athlete mindset is. How do you get people to knock on the door when you have such a specific positioning?
Good question. I'll be honest, I don't usually position it quite that way. So I don't think I like shout it from the rooftops like, hey, I work with athletes.
So this is just for me. This is the positioning just for me then.
I probably should, but here's what I'll tell you is that so the way that I essentially get people in the door is I have like a weekly video series, and like, so like I have like 2-minute videos, 2 minutes. I call it the locker room chats. The locker room. I call it the locker room chats. It's 2-minute videos. But also in everything that I do, I think I'm always channeling for those people. So I will say those things like out loud, of course, and I will talk about that stuff, but I don't necessarily like have it on my website that's like, I'm for you if you were an athlete. But instead, everything I talk about and everything I do is in line with that. And I use a lot of sports analogies and different things, but like I'm pretty open about the fact that like if you don't want to do work, don't work with me. Like some people just are not ready to work with me. If you're trying to have me come in and solve your problem, you're not ready to work with me. If you want me to come in and help you solve your problem, you're ready to work with me. So I'm just open about who I am for and I'm not in that way, if that makes sense.
It does. Do you wanna tell us a bit more about what marketing channel you've been using to like embrace that strategy? So I understand that's going to be basically a self filtering out of the people who go down your funnel, right? It's like, okay, clearly this is not for me. But then for the people who this is for, they're like, hell, like did Megan come up with that whole company just for me because it feels just for me? But so what has worked for you to get those people at the top of the funnel, I guess? And I'm not talking about deals yet. We're going to talk about sales, but more like down the rabbit hole of like, hey, this might be worth exploring further.
So, I mean, obviously I have my like very top of funnel, like I post on LinkedIn. So I have
videos.
Yeah. So it's like, I have my videos and have my things. But also I will tell you that like, I try to put myself in the right rooms with the right people. So although I do have like an online presence and all that good stuff, I spend a significant amount of my time strategically getting in the right rooms with the right people. And so as a good example, someone I know, they were on LinkedIn. They posted about speaking at a conference for the NCAA, which is, do you know what the NCAA is? Maybe.
Do I know what the what?
NCAA.
I'm not at all.
Okay. It's the gosh. Now, of course, I'm like, what does it stand for? I
was like, wait, let me process this.
Division 1, 2, and 3 athletes at universities. They're all part of the NCAA. And so, yeah. So the NCAA is basically like the National Collegiate Athlete Association. I don't know. Either way. But like, I'm
gonna fact check you again.
So like,
NCAA.
NCAA. Yes. So
National Collegiate Athletic Association.
Okay, I was right. So yeah, so I saw someone who was speaking at a conference with the NCAA, and as a former athlete, knowing that that's a place where people who have been athletes, kind of mingle and have, they're connected to, I reached out to that person and said, "Hi, I would like to know more about who you spoke there. Can you connect me with someone?" And he basically said, "Yeah, I'll send on your email." I'm like, not good enough. So I just found somebody to reach out to and was like, "Hi, I'd like to talk to you more about what you're doing, how I can be involved." So I try to essentially strategically get in the right rooms with the right people. So that way I know that the thing I'm talking about and the thing I tell people I can help with is going to land with the right people. So I kind of like go, I don't know. There is a funnel, of course, but I strategically go find the right people to talk to.
Does that end up being often the locker room? Okay, maybe that sounded weird actually. So one thing I want to double down on here, Megan, because I think this is just so valuable for the audience. What we see with a lot of the people that we work with, but not only, is that unfortunately too often we go after the vanity metrics, which is normal. It's very gratifying, right? To say, "Oh my God, I just got 10,000 impressions on my LinkedIn post. Cool. How many clients did you get out of this? Oh, 0. How many leads did you get out of this? Oh, 0. How many? Do you even know if you reached the right people? No, but I got 10,000 impressions and 2,000 likes." I was like, cool. So going where your ICP, your ideal customers profile are, is the play to play, period. And then it's like, how do we approach them the best way? How do we make sure that we get them down the funnel properly? So that's what I really like about your approach, Megan. Tell me more about how you move from being in the right room to a conversation, a sales conversation, an SOW, a letter of engagement. We rock and roll. What does sales motion look like for you, Megan?
So I will tell you, I learned this early on about myself and how I like to do this when I started like actually my own consulting business. I think I'm sure most people you talk to who are consultants are like, I'm not a salesperson, right? It's like, well, now we're salespeople now. And granted, I've been told my whole life, like even when I was a manager at Target, I had random people be like, you should work in sales. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to. Sure, I might have I like to talk to people and I'm sure I'd be good at it. I don't want to. So anyways, I learned early on about myself that it feels very inauthentic to lead sales first. And I also just think in general, I don't think that works. So I think what I found for me that I do is I enter into all conversations with curiosity. And although of course I have a strategic thing, I want to go network with these people who are former athletes because I think that I might be of service to them. I am never coming into it offer forward. And I have lots of people who reach out randomly on LinkedIn and they're like, hey, I want to get coffee and just hear more about what you do. I might want to do that. I'm like, great. Okay. So I am open to conversations with lots of people. I am strategic about the people that I accept for longer conversations or that I go seek out for conversations. But I would say that I'm networking first and not deal first. And then while I am networking or talking with someone and we just, we'll happen to get on the topic of what I do or whatever it is, I like to ask people questions to understand what hurts, what's the pain point, especially if they're leaders. It's they'll start people once they hear I do leadership development or I work with leaders on these things, they'll be like, oh, and they'll just start talking to me. And so then I like to ask questions about where these things are coming from, helping basically trying to get to the root cause of what's actually at the bottom of this. And then from there, especially if it is more in the context of maybe they have actually reached out and they're I actually really want to talk to you about something an actual thing, right? I like to ask a lot of questions and then I reflect that back and say, hey, you just talked this long. Am I hearing you right that this is what's going on? And I feel like people feel very seen by that. They're like, oh, yes, that is what's going on. I'm like, cool, I can help you with that. And I feel like a lot of times they're like, you can? Yes, I definitely can. And what I have found is just in the asking of questions to help understand the deeper need, I catch a lot of people because I don't know if this is pervasive amongst a lot of consulting arms, but I know in the leadership world, there's a lot of firms and a lot of people who will be talking to someone and they'll be like, sounds like you need this off the shelf thing I have. Here you go. When really that's not what they need. Or the person has said, yeah, I think we need conflict management training. And then, that person will be like, I'll give you the best damn conflict management training you've ever seen. And really it's that's actually not what they need. And so, or oftentimes not what they need. And so by asking these deeper questions to help understand what really hurts, what do you really need? And then reflecting that back to say, oh, I hear what you're saying here. And it sounds like actually this might be what's going on. Does that sound right? I think people feel very seen by that. And a lot of times that gets me a step closer to actually getting into an engagement with them, because I think from their perspective, they're like, oh, you get it. You kind of see what's going on. I'm like, yeah, dude. So there you go.
Okay, many golden nuggets of knowledge that I need to double down on here, Megan. So you're not making my job any easier because now I need to take notes and follow properly. But thank you for that. I think this is really valuable. So the thing I want to say is most consultants are terrible at sales. Rightfully so, because they aren't in the consulting business to be a salesperson. They got into the consulting business because they had a deep expertise into a very deep niche, and someone noticed it, a former employer, a colleague, whatever, brought them in. They did an amazing job. They recommended them to the next one and the next one and the next one, and that's how most consulting firms start. But then once you start enabling an acquisition channel or wanting to go past the just referral engine, you get cold leads, and this is where you need to sell. But people have never learned that. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that you just broke down here is simply having a discovery call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm talking to a lot of consultants right now, and a lot of them are thinking, okay, how do I integrate AI into my offering so I can give this off-the-shelf service? And I'm like, I don't think you get it. And no offense, obviously, they've been in the business longer than I have, but it's the consulting market is still growing 10% year after year. This is still exploding.
Yeah.
You just need to do it right and to have that very deep understanding of what the problem is. And sometimes your potential clients won't even know what the root cause is. They think they have a problem, but that's just a symptom of it, which is what I think you just highlighted. And you want to go deeper that. and show it to them like, hey, this is actually your real problem. Holy cow, I didn't realize. Yeah. And it's so funny how, so I'm training some of the of my salespeople right now, but just repeating back what a prospect tells you and summarizing it a bit based on what you know works for others. It's like, oh, so it looks like XYZ, and it's because of that. And you're just repeating, but like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Makes them feel heard, which is the whole point as well. And I believe that consultants who can close are absolute weapons, which seems to be your case. Again, so I appreciate your process.
Yeah.
Talk to me about retention. What happens once you help a team with all things? Hey, you were an MVP. Now you are the head of an MVP team, and you don't know what the hell to do. You come in, you fix that, and what then? Like, how do you solve the next problem and the next problem and the next problem? Not in the way of like, let's make the most out of each and every one,
Totally.
each and every client. You keep on providing value so that you can retain customers. How do you do that?
Well, I feel like it is my natural tendency to like try to uncover the root cause of stuff. And also, like, I have a master's degree in workplace performance improvement. So like, I'm also just like trained in that. So like, I have both, right? And like, I've also led teams. So like, I feel like at every turn, without even thinking about it, I am constantly like, even when I'm in an engagement with someone, I feel like I'm constantly seeing things where I'm like, oh, hey, let's look over there for a second. Like, I think that's probably another piece of this. Or, hey, there's a piece that I think could be improved. And so throughout engagements, I'm oftentimes like, I'm pulling in stuff like that. Like, I'm obviously careful not to have like intense scope creep, but at the same time, I'm not going to hold something back that I'm seeing that could help someone be successful. So A, I will just like share those things when I see them. But B, what I've seen a lot is, I'll tell you what I've seen, and then I'll tell you some other tactics that I'm just starting to employ that I think are working pretty well. So what I have seen is that a lot of times I'm working with like CEOs and executive teams. And so I will work with them on things, and then they'll get through that and go, oh, I want you to work with my leaders. And I'll say, cool. So I think a lot of times what happens is I start to filter through an organization because I've now worked with this leadership team and they've seen success and they're like, this is amazing. Now I want my leadership team below me to go through the same thing because I want them to learn this and start doing this. So I do see a bit of that, which just happens naturally. I also kind of, I recommend it a lot. I'm like, this is cool. You're doing this, but like, what about the rest of your organization? Like, we need to see change filter throughout, right? But then the other stuff that I'm like just starting to employ that I think is, I've gotten good feedback on it so far, and it has, well, I'll tell you. So essentially I do actually have a leadership program. It's a 12-week program. So I like just joked about like off the shelf stuff, but like I do have a semi off the shelf program. It's like comprehensive. I know from experience as well as from testimonials, like people come out the other end of it, like leading differently, leading better. It's just like a boot camp basically, and all of the stuff that I teach people. When you come out of that, and if you have worked with me in individual coaching or like an engagement with your team, essentially, if you've been an alumni of whatever thing I have to offer, like I'm just starting to have a membership program called the Winners Circle, where it's like once a month we get together. We have a specific thing that like people are like, hey, I want to continue talking about this, or I want to learn more about this. Can we unpack this? And they can come 2 hours to my facilitation space, the locker room, very sportsy. They can come there, and it's every month. And then we are like, I'm continuing to support them in a very one-to-many kind of way, right? Like, but not only is it like they still get continued access to me at like a a very not as individualized level, but they still get access to me and different things. But also now there's this community of other people who've done the same thing. And they're like, oh, you're doing that, you're doing this for your quarterly goals. How's it going for you? Oh, we've done this. Right. So not only is that continuing to just like pour into the community and people that I care about that I've worked with, but what I've also seen is that like that continued touch base, they're like, hey, so I have this other thing. And I'm like, okay. So I think it's kind of keeping people in my ecosystem a little bit in that way, in a way that like is not disingenuous. Like I legitimately care about these people continuing their development. And that also just works as a bit of like a way to stay involved with people. And then when something comes up where they're like, ooh, it'd be nice if you worked with us, I'm right there.
So I love this. How do you build that ecosystem? I mean, beyond the just one-on-one conversations and emails. Like, do you have a specific ecosystem in mind when you say I try to keep them within my realm? How do you do that?
So a couple things. So I do have an email list, and not all of my clients are on it. It's not like I just like automatically add them to it. A lot of my clients are on it, especially when I get to the end. I'm like, hey, by the way, like once a week, I send out these video tips, right? So a lot of them are in my email list, but also a lot of them, follow me on LinkedIn and different things like that. So that's like a very passive way to keep them involved. But also, I've done this. I'll be honest, I haven't been as consistent as I should be. But I have had probably for the past 2 years, about once every like 6 to 12 months, I'll like basically reach back out to past clients and be like, hey, like and this has been like a legitimate need. I was like redoing my website. And I was like, hey, I'm redoing my website. I would love if you would mind sharing feedback, testimonials, etc. I would love it if you filled out this survey. Like, thank you so much. It's just helping me like make my website better. And at the end, I kind of have a place that's like, hey, do you have like anything you want to talk with me about? Like anything new come up that we should chat about? Anybody that you can think of that would be, could benefit from working with me. So I have that kind of thing as well. Honestly, a lot of it is just like, it's those types of things. But then also I just like will personally reach out to people every once in a while and be like, hey, how's it going? Just because we've become friends, over 6 months to a year that I worked with them.
Relationship building 101.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I like your style. I like your vibe, Megan, to use your own words. So I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball question at you now,
right.
And hopefully you won't mind. Is there such an analogy for soccer? I'm not too sure. I'm thinking about this goal from Ronaldinho, I think, or Ronaldo. Where he like rushes from the middle of the field and does. There is a famous clip. Anyways, I'm losing myself here. What's your number one challenge? What's the one that you're trying to crack now that once you crack, you're gonna take the whole thing to the next level? What would that be for you?
So honestly, I'll tell you, like about a month or two ago, I burned the candle so much at both ends, there was nothing left of me. Like I was burying myself into the ground with work, which is a good problem to have, right? Like it's a good thing to have a lot of work and a lot of clients. But I think for me, it's like, okay, I like figuring out how to scale in a different way that is doing less one-on-one work and offering more things and a bit of more of like a product ladder. I do have plans for that this year to introduce, because like as a great example, I want to help everybody. And I have a gentleman that I have met. He's so kind. And he reached out to me. He wanted to come to a masterclass I was doing through a local HR organization. I'm hosting it in my space. I'm teaching it. It's a masterclass on how to create a 1 to 2 year strategic plan for your HR department. Very specific for HR leaders. He reached out to me and said, hey, like, is this for me? And I was like, you're not an HR leader that I know of. Like, I don't think so. And he's like, could we chat? I still need this. And I was like, okay. So we chatted, right? And he's like, I really need help creating a strategic plan for my position. I have lots of autonomy, this and that. And like, he's so sweet. And like, he's like, I just need help. He's like, I'm happy to pay you out of my own pocket. And I was like, I do not feel good about this. So I feel like, but like, I'm like, okay, well, I'll still kind of fit you in and I'll give you like a little slice. So what I'm working on over the next like year that is a challenge right now is like, I have a hard time saying no to people like that. And I want to help people like that. And I know I can help people like that. So it's creating a bit of an infrastructure to say, you know what? No, this thing isn't for you. Here's my stuff. It costs this much, right? But I have this, digital product that walks you through how to make a strategic plan. And if you need some extra help, I'm actually, another fun thing I'll be doing is I'm going to call it the Get Shit Done Club, the GSD Club. Basically, it's like, come in and do your quarterly plan. Come in and do your strategic plan. I will facilitate it, but it's with a group of other people. So you're all doing your own strategic plan, but a much more approachable price, a much more scalable model for me. And honestly, it's like fun for me. I love to facilitate. I get to impact more people. And there might be someone in that group who then goes, I want more of you individually. And then they just, kind of come down the funnel to be a, whatever analogy you want to use, the funnel, the ladder, whatever. They basically work their way to being more of a one-on-one client. But that's the biggest challenge I have, is that, like, I know it sounds like such a like I was too successful. Really
I have too much clients. My lobster is too buttery and my steak is too juicy. What am I gonna do?
I was like, that's not what I mean it to sound like, but like I think it's very easy to like work yourself to death as a consultant. And it's like, that's not why I did this. I have 2 little kids. I've got, a husband and a family and a life, and working every single night after they go to bed till midnight is not sustainable. So that's my biggest challenge, is figuring out how do I continue to serve the people I want to serve in a way that still serves me and my business. So I'm working on it.
So I'm going to say this not to you, Megan, because obviously you do you, and clearly you're extremely successful. But for some people, because I had this conversation this morning with someone we might work with, and he's in the same position. He's built his firm. He has like 4 or 5 people working for him. And he's like, yeah, we are not demand constrained. But I want to do the podcast, but we are not demand constrained. And I was like, but this is, from what I've seen, this is a non-problem. Like, if you really have so much demand that you have to say no to clients, or you overwork yourself, double your prices. And he was like, what do you mean? Here we go. I knew it. But it's like, so for people listening to us who are struggling with this, first of all, congratulations. Like, you've won at the game of business, because you are more in demand than you can handle. That's amazing. And the next step to that is obviously hiring people to help you out, making sure that your consultants are also in demand, because often what happens when a consultant grows their firm is that people want to work with them, but as soon as the engagement is signed, then they are, handing it over to some analysts, and they're like, wait, I thought I was going to work with you. So you also want to put the spotlight on the employees. But that said, increasing the prices is usually helping, like, filter out people who would not pay you properly, or not at the full value that you're providing. And now you make room for more clients like this who will pay you more. Worst case, you make more money working exactly the same. Best case, you make even more money with more people, and you have higher margins so that you can hire better talent. That's what we've seen. That's the discussion we had, and it was like, I need to work with you. But Megan, I like this, and it is a challenge. Although it sounds like a my lobster is too buttery problem, it is a problem. I know, and that's something that consulting firms run into. Right? Once you solve demand, how do you solve supply? Other side of the coin, what's I guess the community is kind of this, but what's a big opportunity that you're looking forward to work on in the next 3 to 6 months in your business?
Well, let's see. I'll tell you that probably the projects I'm most excited to work on in the next 3 to 6 months are more of like, they're my projects that serve at a larger capacity. So honestly, probably the one I'm most excited about is this, like, get shit done club. It's gonna be like, it's gonna be so fun, and I know the demand is out there, and so it's like I'm excited, and I think, and it's like I was basically like poo-pooing on off-the-shelf products, but I think what takes I am not an off-the-shelf product girl, and so I want to be clear, like, this is not an off-the-shelf product. Basically, it is what I think is solving a problem of so many people have amazing plans, and they're like, I want to do this year. And then it's October, and they're like, uh-oh, I didn't do it. And I'm like, yeah, I got a solution for that. And so it is like a carefully crafted ecosystem of support, tools, facilitation, intentional time, accountability to say, hey, you want to do this? Like, come over here and let's do it. So I'm pretty excited about that. So it's not necessarily a client project as much as it is a project in my business to serve more clients, if that makes sense.
Oops, makes absolute sense. I thought I didn't unmute myself. I like it, and the name definitely is badass. So I understand you would be excited about that. Megan, Renaldo, ladies and gentlemen. Megan, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
So multiple places. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably where I'm most present on LinkedIn. Just Megan Renaldo, which I'm assuming they can see how my name is spelled. Or I guess if you're listening, it's Megan, and it's not Renaldo like the soccer player. I joke that I'm married to him. I'm not. It's Renaldo. So Megan Renaldo. So on LinkedIn, but then also I have an Instagram where I post a lot of this stuff. Same thing, at Megan Renaldo. And then my website is renaldoandco.com, ANDCO.com.
We will put all the links in the description. I can say one thing for sure, Megan, is that you've gained at least one new connection out of this conversation. Me, we are now connected on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you for having me. It's fun.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.